Shores, Florida, calling for a referendum regarding the issuance of general obligation debt by Miami Shores Village in an amount not to exceed $20 million for the purpose of providing a new community center and associated recreation facilities. Mr. Bevin.
Madam Mayor, as a follow-up to our last meeting, now that we have a full council, how would you like to proceed? Would you like me to do the preamble again of how we got to where we got, or what's your pleasure?
Well, I'd like to leave that question up to the council persons that were not here. How would you like to proceed, gentlemen?
I'm very familiar with the project through the number of meetings and town hall meetings that we had and were attended, so I'm ready to move forward.
Okay, so Mr. Benton, I don't think we need a repeat. I think that predominantly we're here tonight because not only are these two gentlemen here tonight, but also a lot of you are here to comment on this item. So I'd like to open public comment, and I'd like anyone who wishes to speak to feel free to do so. Please be mindful that we're looking at an overall picture here. So if someone before you has already said what you wish to say, it would be fine if you maybe addressed another issue, another part of the community center issue. But we really don't want to hear the same comments over and over again. Public comment will be timed by Ms. Keeley, who's working as the clerk tonight, and it will be 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I have brought a timer because the residents have complained that they are unaware of how much time they have. So I'm turning it so that the resident can see it, and I will start it and stop it at the time at 2 minutes.
Okay. First of all, we have to move the item, so before you line up there.
I'll move the item, Madam Mayor.
I second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. So we'll go ahead and, Susan, I'm very sorry you have to crawl out again.
Susan Ackley, 1119 Northeast 99th Street. I just wanted to comment that I am in favor of both putting this item on our April ballot, and I am also highly in favor of building a new community center. I know there's a lot of opposition when people hear $20 million. I look at it as $20 a month, and that's like 4 coffees at Starbucks. And I would gladly spend that to have a new facility.
My name is Patricia Kochi. I reside at 1089 Northeast 104th Street. I've been a resident since 1954. Todd Petrie did a wonderful job building the current community center. Look how long it has lasted. But it is now time to have a new recreation center. We need it. Some people don't realize that the recreation center takes care of the children in this village. After school break, it's really needed to expand up. And I have my family raised here. They went to the community center. And I've taught there 40 years. And Tom, Mr. Benton knows, I have over $10,000 to go to the new facility for stage lighting, even though I know there will not be a stage. So anyone that says at the last meeting they said I had a personal gain in it, I have no gain in it. My gain is, I love our stage, but we need a new community center. There's no two ways about it. And that's that. I hope you agree. It'll bring our property values up. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Kochi, 1089 Northeast 104th Street. Not only does the community center provide a great service to the community, it provides a sense of community. People meet each other. They can become involved in different classes, different subjects they might not normally be able to be involved with. I can tell you at a very, very young age, as a teenager, I was able to study dance from a very qualified, wonderful instructor at the community center, right in my own community, very affordable. So the community center also gives children a wonderful opportunity to get involved with sports, performing arts, it's just a wonderful, wonderful, great thing to have in the community. So that's why I want to see one built. That's it. Thank you.
Bianca Roy, 374 Northeast 104th Street. Good testimony. And from the last meeting, I don't recall any hard opposition towards the center. That is not what's on the thing. What's on the thing is $20 million and how the financing is going to affect the residents. I mean, yeah, my son is 32. He was here, but he's no longer here. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a child, but yes, I would like my property values to go up. I would like my community to be proud of it. But I think the whole idea was, yeah, it's the logistics around it. We all agree we need a community center. But do we really need a $20 million, 20 million story community center? I think that was what the biggest discussion was last time. And it's good that some opponents are coming in to, and then some proponents are coming in, but I think we need to talk about the logistics and then trying to rush it in April's agenda. That was the whole thing from last meeting, from what I recall, if anybody's there, so I think this is what we need to discuss. Not whether we need it or not. Everybody knows that we need that, and it should uplift the community. But I think if we go to the action item, then give people a sense to, make me feel better about it for April. I'm still not feeling good about it to go on April's ballot. I need to be condemned. Thank you.
Frank Bornstein, 9800 Northeast 5th Avenue Road. I would love to see a new community center. I have 3 children that actively use it all the time. But a 67,000 square foot facility is way too excessive for a community of 10,800, 1,500 residents. This plot you're looking to put on is half the size of what People's King has to go on.
Did you say your address?
9800 Northeast. Okay, you're only proposing 70 parking spaces to support a 67,000 square foot community center. I mean, what's that going to do to the traffic around the neighboring streets? There's houses around that. Okay, you're putting something that's equivalent to the size of the UN's gym and stuff across the street from our houses. What's going to happen to the traffic flow? 98th Street, 97th Street, 5th Avenue Road, Grand Concourse. Where do you think the overflow parking is going to be? It's going to be on our streets. It's going to be on our lawns. Not to mention the safety issues it causes. My children play out front there. So, I mean, there's a lot of considerations here. It's like an all or nothing thing here for 67. There's no other option. I realize this is just to put it on the ballot and we'll all get a chance to vote, but this is what you're putting in front of us. This is it. This is all we see. There's no A, B, or C. And it's wrong. I mean, this is too excessive for this community. It's just wrong. Thank you, sir.
Tony Bennett, 10518 Northeast 3rd Avenue. My comments is probably close to some of the others, but my issue, I have talked to Tom, I have not seen any specifics that says, hey, this is what our current proposal is, what's the cost going to be, and how is that going to affect my taxes? Because I saw some numbers where there were estimates being done that it affects your taxes by bringing it up to 170 or something like that, 200, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I just can't see you floating a $20 million bond and operational for a center like this, of the size that we have, that's going to impact my taxes by only $200 a year. It doesn't seem possible. So I would like to see the details that goes behind this before we put this on this ballot and say that's what we're going to do.
Hello.
Okay, so my name is Melinda Haddad, and I live at 9820 Northeast 5th Avenue Road. And first of all, I would like everyone to consider, how accurate is it really to compare us to Cuba Skin? I don't see that there's very many similarities there. And secondly, I'd like to reiterate what the last couple of people have said, that no one's arguing that we don't need a community center. Okay? So my family would really like to urge you to vote no tonight for this. we feel that it's a premature vote, as the survey, and it's specifically question number 12 in the survey that was sent out about a year ago, it does not support that amount of money for the construction of the community center. Okay, and that's what the residents returned to you. We gave that to you. Consider that the cost to construct, to operate, and maintain a center of this size is financially unsustainable for our village and our residents. And in addition, that massive structure does not meet parking requirements. It's not to scale with our neighborhood. It's not why you moved here. And it does not consider concurrency and the impacts of the surrounding neighborhoods, and especially my property values and my quality of life, as what Mr. Hornstein just mentioned. So a no vote, all we're asking is just a simple postponement and to give us time for discussion with all the residents and to establish options, additional options to what we have right here. That's all we want, and that's all that we would like to afford. And thank you very much.
Good evening, Giselle Collette, 290 Northeast 98th Street. I agree with everybody about the need for a new community center. However, I have concerns. I do have concerns about the great cost of it. I have concerns about the visual impact on the street and what the adjacent neighbors are going to see. I think as Matt was so diligent with the dog park and the concerns of all the residents being happy with that, we need to take the same attitude. But mostly I'm concerned with the time frame, and I'm going to ask you all, as did the previous speaker, to please postpone so some things can be thought through efficiently. My concern is we have Northeast 2nd Avenue, which we've been working on developing. Can we take on some projects like this? Northeast 2nd Avenue development would bring in a larger tax base, and perhaps we should think of establishing that before we undergo such a great expenditure. In addition, Northeast 2nd Avenue is going to serve a bigger part of our community. It will serve more people in Miami Shores. I implore you to please don't take on too much at one time and risk the good outcome and quality of both projects. Please postpone this April ballot measure. Thank you.
Andrew Bellinson, 9205 Northeast 4th Avenue. I come up here hesitantly because I like the idea of new communities. However, I remember when I first moved here a dozen years ago on a walk around the property with the Historic Society of Miami Shores, how much pride people took that the houses were to scale. All the homes were being renovated, updated from the 50s up to 2005, 2010, and how much pride Miami Shores took in that there weren't a bunch of McMansions. It didn't look like Miami Beach. And I have to say, I'm very familiar with the UM facility. It's 70,000 square feet. It's a huge facility. I was there when they first built it. I came from a university that they copied when they built it. Those are for communities of 20, 25,000 people. Our community is a lot smaller. And my big concern, I don't care about the tax dollars, to tell you the truth. I don't think it's that big of an imposition. What I'm concerned about is who's going to be there. And it's not that I want my fellow villages on either side of me there. But I also understand it's for us, and we're a small town, and there's some charm there. I have other comments, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Good evening. Hugo Mijares, 395 Northeast, 92nd Street. I like the idea of expanding the center. I have 3 kids, my father of 2 kids, but I wasn't being too involved with the process. I'm also the principal of 1DB Architecture, and after seeing this, I would like to offer
our services, the services of our for free, pro bono, just to look at this and then scale it down and work a little bit something more appealing and more in line with the aesthetics of Miami Shores.
Hi, I'm Janet Goodman, 1174 Northeast 105 Street. I could be wrong, but I don't think the community center, the planning of a new community center is a rush job. I think we've been talking about it for years. I teach at the community center a dog training class for 15 years, and ever since I've been there, there's been talk of a new community center. So there have been town meetings. There was a visionary session where building the community center as well as other public spaces was the number 2 priority considered in that visioning session. So, of course, I'm for it and a lot of people are, but there is talk in the community of people who are not for it, period. And all they have to do is go in there and take a class and see that we've really outgrown the facility. And thank you.
Cheryl Gowan, 268 Northeast 102nd Street. Again, similar comments. I am very familiar with the community center. I've used it. My family has used it, and I'm familiar with the limitations that it has. So the kind of programming, the variety that it can hold, the limitations that we all experience of going to village council meetings there, because this room is clearly inadequate. But even the village, even the facility over there isn't designed. So we need a new facility. I've also personally experienced going to other modern, state-of-the-art community centers. I've taken my daughter to classes at Coral Gables. I'm looking at class right now at Sunrise Community Center because I know what those facilities do and what they bring to the community. And I really don't get we've been talking about this for years, as Janet was saying. There have been numerous sessions. The documents are online for people who want to pay attention and go to meetings and get involved. I've gone to Miami Shores property owners meetings with 5 people in the audience. So there's no limit. No matter what time you set for it, there's always going to be somebody who, well, I didn't have a chance to provide input. I didn't know about it. I think you need to get it on the ballot because the costs only continue to escalate. I think we're ready to have a vote. I seek encouragement of putting this on the ballot for April. We can have more, people are now starting to pay attention. We can have more sessions and go deeper into the details and just reminding folks that we're talking about a $20 million cap. We're not saying this needs to be a $20 million construction job, but you have to set a limit in order to know what your frame is. So I'm speaking in favor of the referendum.
This is Karen, 321 Northeast 93rd Street. I hope that the 2 councilmen that weren't here the last time, you had a chance to watch back the last meeting so that you could see all those comments too. I hope that you did because there's a lot of people that aren't here tonight that speak against the center. I wanted to also, when this lady said that Key Biscayne has a very different demographic than we do. A lot of high rises. They have land where they can still build high rises. So we're not in that position. What are we? 3,680 single family homes, and we're never going to have high rises here. So I would like to say that there's really no correlation between the two. We do need a center. It's the same place that I played at when I was a little girl. Same building. I get it. I just think that we should concentrate on our community and the children here instead of worrying about having a big enough facility to bring in a secondary market. And if you need other kids to make up a whole baseball team, well, if you need 12 people for a baseball team and there's 4 empty slots that we need to fill, then first come, first serve. We don't have to have something for everybody, especially since we're paying the bulk of it. The plans and the designs and the costs should be known ahead of time from the very beginning because I've been at every single meeting.
$1.2 million at that point. I was one of the ones who stood up and said that too much money, let's see Plan B. Never was proposed another Plan B. Never was given to me or to the community. Thank you.
Hi, Yvonne Moody, 1131 Northeast 97th Street. I'm an instructor at the Recreation Center. I have raised my own daughter here. I've been in the community since the early 1970s, grew up here, took classes there. Yes, I think everybody here is pretty much feeling the same way as far as we definitely need a new building. I like what, not the last person said, but the person before that said as far as, yes, let's get it on the ballot. The conversations have been going on for a long time. There have been many meetings. I have attended a few. I haven't been lucky enough to attend all of them. And it's a cap of $20 million. Costs go up. I think we need to move forward and get it on the ballot and then go back and look at, okay, is there a better way that we can make it work for our community? But let's get it moving. It's enough of the talk. It's been happening for a while, and many people have been involved in that, and it's gotten to a bigger issue, and so now some other people are stepping forward. That's slowing down the process, and it's going to cause more expenses. As far as Key Biscayne goes, okay, so the demographics are different, but the issue is still going to be the same as far as a couple years down the road, you're going to want to increase the size. So that's something to be considered. I've been to many different community centers all over the country. I've brought in brochures and shared them with Angie from different locations, other states, but just as ideas. And I think that everybody's ideas should be considered. So let's just move forward and start, and let's look for a Plan D. And we already had somebody offer to look at the plans and maybe provide something else. But consider the fact that there have been a number of people, communities, that do end up adding more later on at a higher expense. So don't forget that part. Thank you.
Jose Perez, 9824 Northeast 5th Avenue Road. I think we have to be very careful about what we rush into, because we've been here before. So we have rushed into the charter school, for instance. And today, you can say that what is the attendance of Miami Shores residents in the charter school? It's not for Miami Shores residents. I understand that the middle school, 30% of the population there is Miami Shores. And in the high school, it's even less. So, who are we building this for? It's 70,000 square feet, $20 million. I'm not interested in, I work hard for my money. Miami Shores is like the 5th highest tax rate in Miami-Dade County. And we're going to increase it even more. Okay, you're only hearing half the story here with regards to what the assessed value here for $270 per $210,000 of assessed value. That's how about the maintenance costs, the overruns, the budget overruns here. It's currently running at a deficit. We're going to build a larger community center, okay, that's going to cost us even more, and it's not going to be for us. It's out of scale. I'm not interested in giving you a blank check to go do something here. It's not right. I want to take back the village. It's meant for the 3,200 homes that are here, the 10,000 residents. This is not right. All right? And I heard what you said. I'm very troubled. Like the last meeting where you said that you had been around and you had visited several, and they were all commenting to you, Ms. Mayor, or Mrs. Mayor, right? Don't do it too small. Well, we don't need to be large. We're a small community, and that's the grace, and that's a wonderful aspect of Miami Shores. Thank you.
Becky Leonard, 9300 Northeast 4th Avenue. I moved to this community a long time ago. I think it was 3 or 4 years after the community center we now have just started opening. I've raised 4 kids here. The community center is too small. The problem is when you see the amount of square footage, you're taking a basketball court that is outside, you're putting it inside a building. That's going to add to your square footage. You've got an upstairs and a downstairs, so you have enough places to meet. I know that when groups meet, other ones get shuffled all over the place to accommodate. And it's not even when we have a council meeting there. It's just a regular meeting that they can't accommodate. They have to move the gymnastics somewhere else. The jumping people have to go somewhere else to accommodate. And that's not right. And I understand what you're saying. I know that someone said something about there were 77 parking spots or something, but you've also got a parking across the street that you use, and I know you can continue to use that, and I'm sure that's thought of, so you've got a lot of spaces there that also can be included. And most of it's going to be inside, whereas now you've got a lot of it outside. You're going to have, I assume, part of your eating facilities down at the field house in this community center too, so that when people are there at a meeting, they can actually go and get something to eat as well. We have not gotten any bigger, but we are using it more than we used to. And I know with my kids, it was great because it not only gave them a place to meet, but because of them, I got to meet their parents, and that's what makes a community. Not just dropping your child off at a facility to go to. You want to be involved. So I think it's very important that we look at the whole thing, and it's not just outside. A lot of it's going to be inside. I know that if I went on a track now not that I'm going to run, but going around the track, I don't want to do that in July outside. I can come over there, and I can do it in the air conditioning, and that's a lot better. And I don't think people are listening to that. So I'm definitely for it.
Public comment is now closed. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I would like to call from my colleagues on the issue of whether or not this item should go on the ballot. Let's go first.
Madam Mayor? Thank you. That way I'm done, and I can listen to all of you. My issue with this project is that there hasn't been adequate vetting of the project. And I was presented one option. I was not given the opportunity to give any feedback. My feedback immediately when I saw it was, it's not to scale, it's too big. We don't need all of the bells and whistles. But that was never taken into consideration. So my opinion was not taken into consideration, and your opinion was not taken into consideration. I have been here for 4 years, and I voted for this 4 years ago. I ran on this. I am in favor of a community center, and my fear is, and when we put this on the ballot at $20 million, the community is going to say no. And we're going to then delay it even more. Once the community understands what's going to be costing and what it's going to look like, they're going to vote. And so why don't we bring down the scale now? Why don't we adequately plan this so that we're all in favor of it? I have spoken to many, many of you, and you've all said the same thing. I'm in favor of the community center. I want to see plans. I want to see exactly what you're proposing, and I want this to be cheaper and smaller. Simple. I'm here to listen to you. I'm not here to just vote on my own. So I'm voting against this because I would like to see this decreased. And I would like to be sold, quote unquote. I would like to feel encouraged. I would like to support something. But I am not behind a project like this. So therefore, I'm not going to bring it before the residents in the form of a ballot. Thank you.
see a lot of people here. And, we've been going through this process, as I recall, for at least a year since I've gotten here. A lot of meetings. I wish you'd all have been here for those meetings, too. All right? But as I heard some people say, now that it's coming to a point, more people are stepping up and stepping out, which is great. I mean, I can see both sides of this. I remember it a little differently. I remember there being options presented to us. No one is wed to 67,000 square feet. But when I hear people talking about delay either way, I mean, let's redesign it, let's bring down the scale, let's delay that, we're being rushed into this, let's not have this on the ballot. I mean, what you're asking us to do is go forward and spend more of your money without knowing we're actually going to have a pot of money to build the thing. So from my perspective, we need to at least know there's a pot of money that's going to be there in order to go forward and spend more money on the project. I'm not in favor of, developing a set of plans and specifications for a job that we don't know we can pay for. I mean, to me, that's just throwing money out there into the wind. All right? So, if we decide down the road we don't want a 67,000 square foot facility, we'll scale it down. I mean, no one's saying you have to spend $20 million. All right? But if we don't move forward at this point, we're not going to know we have any money to spend on a facility. So that's where I'm having the disconnect with the people who want to delay this at this point. We've talked about it. It's been talked about for years, apparently, and years before I was even here, certainly before I was on the council. So, I mean, I think we're to a point where, it's out to the five of us, in my opinion, to say yes or no to April. All right, put it on the ballot and let everyone decide. I mean, if people are so concerned that it's going to get shot down, then it gets shot down and we go back to the drawing board. But, as you all may recall, this was going to be in the general election in November, and we postponed it so it could be in the April election, so we could give people more time to review the plans, review what's out there on the website, come to more meetings. So, from my perspective, there's no reason to delay anymore. I mean, because that's just asking us to spend more money for something we won't even know we have the money to spend.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a great deal of respect for the folks that spoke tonight and the concerns they expressed. A lot of salient points, and I respect them, and I respect and know personally a lot of the folks in the room tonight. And this has been a tough decision for me. But what it comes back to is a lot of the points that the Vice Mayor made, that by voting in April, we merely create a ceiling on the amount of money that we spend. We're not saying that we have to spend every penny. We're going to have to come back and approve a design. We are going to have to come back and approve a guaranteed maximum price from a contractor. This is just the first step. We are just establishing a framework tonight. One of the things that bothers me the most is people that feel they've been excluded and that feels like this has somehow not been a transparent process. I don't know how many meetings we've talked about this. The number presented is almost identical to the number we presented exactly 1 year ago, this month. I mean, it has not deviated. But it bothers me that people don't know about this project and don't know about these plans. And so one of the things that I'd like to come out of tonight, if we decide to go forward with this, is I think that we need to be more transparent. And I think we need to have a series of workshops where we invite members of the community to come out and ask questions and find out more about the project so that people can vote. If they think that this is something that they want and they can afford, they'll vote for it. If it's something that they don't want and can't afford, they won't. And I think that that should include a website, right? It's at the liberty of going online. There's plenty of great new Miami Shores Community Center URLs available. Let's have the program posted on there. Let's have the basic rendering posted on there. Let's have a list of all the meetings where this was discussed so that people know that this isn't something that came out of the blue. Let's have the minutes from those meetings so people can see we're not tricking them. We have a basic construction cost estimate. We should post that as well, right? If you want to give feedback on that, that's fine. We have an operating cost that was posted as a part of the Ballard study. We should post that as well. But most importantly, I think that it should have sort of like a mortgage calculator on the bottom of it, where people can go in and put in their assessed value and find out how much they're paying each month in additional taxes. That's it. I mean, let's be completely transparent, let people know what they're voting for, and then we vote. And you know what? I hope that they support it, because personally I support this program, right? I'll just tell you, I think that this program is right for the village, and I think there's data that supports it, right? But that being said, if it doesn't pass, it's a free election, guys. April is free. It doesn't cost us a penny to put it on the ballot. Okay? So if it fails, we, go down the road, we figure out what the village thinks we can afford, what the people think we can afford, we'll come back with a scaled back version. We'll come back at $15 or $10 million, and we'll put that back on the ballot. Right? Let's figure out what the ceiling is today, and let's move forward with this. 2 years now we've been talking about this, at least. So, we've invested a lot of money already. So, thank you, though. And I just want to add one more time, I don't mean to minimize any of the comments or concerns that I've heard tonight. I think they're all legitimate, right? And I want to be your voice and your advocate going forward, but this isn't it, right? There's a lot of work to be done before this is done. So, thank you.
Mr. Baylinson, you really touched me when you said that you were always attracted to Miami Shores because things were to scale. And I appreciate that, because I live next door to one of the first probably McMansion-style homes that was built in Miami Shores. And since then, we've only gotten more of them. So we know that people are building up. We know that people want to build up, especially if that is what they want to accommodate. They want to put everything on the lot that they want to accommodate. We have a very small lot for a community center that is designated area for all of us, each and every one of us, from the firstborn baby to the oldest resident, and we have a lot of them. Our fastest growing demographics, according to the survey, which was done in May of 2015, the fastest growing demographics are age 5 to 17 and ages 60 and up. That is where we are growing many times many percent higher than the national average. So how do we plan for that? Do we do what we did 46 years ago and bite the bullet and build something that is going to accommodate everyone and last? The life expectancy of a facility like this should be somewhere between 40 and 60 years. We're trying to build for the future. We're trying to build for the kids and babies and seniors that I see all the time and that you see all the time. There are seniors. And as far as people from outside the community, let's look at the numbers here in today's packet that was available to all of you if you clicked on the top of the agenda. And that is 38% of the revenue that runs our community center and athletics program comes from those people who come from outside Miami Shores borders. And that is an important consideration and has been for decades. And we know this because one of the reasons this project has been so long and drawn out is, remember, there was a deed restriction on the property. In order for us to go ahead and build something new on it, we had to actually ask for permission. So, yes, I take to heart all those things you're saying, but I'm seeing those words up to in this ballot question. And I'm looking at those words up to, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking two things. One is, if I give a government permission to spend up to, they're going to spend it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to push back at that a little bit, because I've lived in Miami Shores a long time. I bought my first home here in 1973. I've seen a very lot of promises kept instead of promises broken. And I'm going to use the charter school as an example. And I'm going to use the pool as an example. We knew when we voted for those things. We knew when we voted for the pool. We were told it was going to possibly be a loss. When we built the charter school, we were told we were going to need students that did not survey out to fill the school up to 600 in order to be able to sustain it. We were told, residents of 111th Street were told, we're not going to open 111th Street. We're going to be able to move these students in and out of this property on 5th Avenue and you are not going to be disturbed. We kept those promises. And I've seen it, and I wasn't elected then. I've just seen it over and over again, that we've kept those promises. And so I ask you to have a little bit of faith in the process that up to might not, after all we've heard from you, mean $20 million. And I'd like to also impress on people the fact that these numbers should be in a mortgage calculator. You should be able to know how much it's going to cost you. But why is it that in Miami-Dade County, you have to put something like this on the ballot 90 days ahead of time? Why is that? Because now we can have the website, we can have the Facebook chats that are live on the homepage of our website, as we did with the chief did with crime. We can have you come to meetings. We can go to your meetings. We can go to your home or my home, and we can hear more about the facts that are surrounding this project, because they're there. And one of the things that I'm also hearing is there's a lot of talent in this village, and boy, do I know that. And the talent in this village, we could have gone to the talent in this village and said, okay, Mr. Local Contractor, how would you build this, and what would you do? Instead, administration made a choice that I think was a very wise one. They said, let us go to the firm that has designed 400 community centers all over this country, and let's spend the money on that. And P.S., this group has said, yes, we have spent almost $80,000 on that process. Is it the right thing to let the 454 people who return the surveys decide? Or is it the right thing to let the 2,000 voters that we had in the last election come out to this election and decide? Are you afraid to put this on the ballot because it might pass? Well then, I'd say to you that that is not necessarily a fair thing to each other. Nor does it place much faith in village government. And I have a lot of faith in village government. And I want us to not make a mistake. Okay? And for that reason, I do have one other city, and that is Surfside. And Mayor Deitch, who was just reelected for a second time as mayor of Surfside, had some comments, and I'm just going to read you a few little sentences from him. Mayor Deitch, who was elected in 2010 after the new facility broke ground in Surfside, only a matter of a few miles from here, offers this advice. Take the longer view. Consider that a new community center provides residents with benefits in ways they can't imagine even that a new community center could do. They can't imagine that they would plan to use the facility. It's a statement that I think is absolutely true. Our community center is the physical embodiment of the community's soul, or, as one resident calls it, the town's watering hole. It's a shared space where all residents are equal, whether young or old, male or female, religious or secular, etc. Adding resources now offers community spaces that add to a sense of community. There's more to it than that, and I have the Surfside story if anyone is interested in reading it, and I'm going to vote yes on this item.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I can say a couple of things. So if the conversation is about setting a ceiling, let's set a ceiling and then move on with the process. And then I'd like to propose, or therefore move, that we set the ceiling at $15 million instead of 20.
Madam Mayor, or maybe the attorney can speak to this. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
I would like to amend the motion.
If it's a motion to amend, I think we need a second for that.
Okay, so I would like to amend the motion to $15 million.
Motion maker is?
No, I won't accept the amendment. Right, I think, and just let me speak to it for a second. I mean, just pulling a number out of thin air from 20 to 15 to 10 to whatever, I don't think that has any nexus to the work that's been done over the last year with respect to the planning of this facility so far. Again, the mayor spoke, I thought, very eloquently about not spending the $20 million. I'm not looking to spend $20 million, all right? And I'm not looking to have a facility that overwhelms the neighborhood, all right? But again, I mean, you need a pot of money. And I'm not looking to spend more money on the process unless we know we have a pot of money going forward. And just pulling numbers out of the air saying 15 million, to me just doesn't make sense with all the work we've done today. So it's not about your number. I mean, it may end up costing $15 million. I mean, if we value engineer this, reduce the size, it may come out to be 15. But I just can't agree to a number out of thin air right now. I don't mean it in any other way. That's why I won't accept the amendment.
Okay. That's fair. And I do want to remind the council that the quote that we received is for $19 million. So it is basically going to cost, and that does not include items, anything else that they're going to need. One thing we know about construction, it tends to be longer than projected, and it tends to be more expensive. So it's basically going to be $20 million, and what we're doing is giving the settlement the $20 million blank check, because we still have not approved the site plans. But in addition to that, if we're talking about transparency, because it seems like this proposal will go through, what I request is, and this is not in the form of a motion, but I do request from the village manager, that we send out a notice, a mailing notice to every single resident of the city, so that it's not just online, but also they're going to get it in the mail, so they're aware that this ballot initiative is going to happen. And so, in addition to the website, I also would like to see a written notice to every single resident for this blank check that we're giving the city.
Are you going to call the question?
No. First of all, I have a great deal of faith in that ballot that we all have. I know some people are going to say it's the easy way out. Let the people decide. Well, we put the bill, we should decide. I would like to know when the opportunity comes that we can perhaps downsize from 67,000 square feet to 50,000 or whatever it might be, but in order to make it smaller in size. I mean, what we're deciding today is whether we put this on the ballot as it stands. And then I hear from my fellow council people that we really don't, we're not going to spend all the money. We would like to keep it within the scope of the homes and the village and the size of the village. And I wonder when that opportunity is going to present itself. When are we going to have a chance to take a look at that? Even though we've said, yes, if it passes, yes, you have up to that for it. When are we going to be able to say, and when are we going to get the opportunity to put it in perhaps a smaller size than it is today? I think that the way it was planned and the way the survey went, the people who designed it and who came up with all the plans put everybody's thoughts in order and gave everybody everything that they wish to have. And now we have to come down to, do we need it? Are we really going to use it? And is it possible to perhaps coexist with a couple of extra rooms and lower the square footage? But when are we going to have the opportunity to do that? I don't know, because I haven't seen that.
Mr. Brennan, would you like to speak to that question?
When we get into the design, after, as the Vice Mayor said, when we know we have the pot of money, we'll then go out to bid and use the construction manager at risk process. At that time, the actual design takes place, and at that time, we will have all kinds of opportunities in order for the council, the community, to give their input on what the final design would be. Rest assured, we hear you. We hear the council. There's going to be some downsizing, some changing of the scale, and that's when the opportunity will present itself. And this is the same process we use, by the way, for both the swimming pool, the charter school, and the motor pool that we build out at Public Works, which most people don't see because it's way out there, but that's how the process went.
So this, by putting it on the ballot and by voting it up or down, whichever way it happens to go, but if it passes, that does not mean that that's what we're going to have. That's the starting point, meaning the people who came up with those pictures decided that they took everyone's wish into consideration. They did not take a little bit of the storage and make the storage for 3 or 4 things rather than one thing. They picked and chose the size and the usage of what people told them they wanted. And now we're getting to the point when you have to pay for it, and you say, well, that's great, but how many people are really going to use that? How many people are really going to meet in this room? Granted, I can fill up a closet if I have space. Doesn't matter. I'll find something to put in it. And I'm sure if we had this much space, we could all fill it up with everything. But that does not mean necessarily that that is a need. But we have to also consider that anything we do, you're talking about 30, 40 years, I look at it as a 100-year investment. I mean, and I've lived here since this one was opened. And I know how much it's been used. And I know how much money it would take just to make it cosmetically beautiful right now. But that does not give you an extra room that you don't have to juggle everybody and throw somebody out when they are doing various things. But it also doesn't take care of a class of 4. Maybe we don't need a class for 4 or 6. Maybe we need a different criteria as to the numbers that come in. We in Miami Shores are not an island. We aren't. We don't have to do and supply everything to everybody. When within 5 miles you can do it. I mean, if we were the only people, and this was the only place, that's one thing. But we're not. And all of us drive everywhere, as somebody said, go out on tour for what they can offer. With that class, they'll go to Sunrise, they'll go. I mean, people drive. I'm sorry, we are married, whether we like it or not, to our cars, regardless of traffic. And so maybe in the ideal community center for us, we don't supply everything to everybody. Because it's available. We just have to step outside Miami Shores. So I'm all in favor of putting it on the ballot, letting all of you and all of us decide whether or not we're going to go ahead. But I also am very much interested in having everybody speak up as to what we need, and the children that we have, what do they use the most, and where is the demand right now? And we can envision demands, and some we can't. But as a result, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people this week. And people are evenly divided. They're not divided on whether we should have a new community center. They are only divided as to whether we should have that picture community center.
Just to remind everyone and anyone who might be listening, the issue that's before you tonight is solely to put on the ballot a question of whether or not this council will be authorized to approve bond funding in a specified amount for a community center. Not any one in particular, not necessarily this one. This is a conceptual illustration. But if it doesn't pass, then you don't have the bond money. If it does pass, then you decide how much of that authorization you want to use in terms of bonding. You decide what you want to build, who's going to build it, and all of that is a relatively lengthy process. But the first step, as the Vice Mayor said, is do you want to put on the ballot, do you want to give the populace the opportunity to approve the concept of bonding and not to exceed a specified amount. And that's really all that's before you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Serafin. Thank you. Ready to call the question? All in favor of the bond language signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.